Is it possible, and I really got to watch the way I ask this because it's easily misinterpreted, but is it possible that Nick Herbig's being held back in a way? Good morning to you. Good Monday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Steelers. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into hockey and or baseball. I also offer daily shots of Penguins and Pirates in the same place that you found this. Look, I know who's playing in front of him, all right? I know he's not about to send TJ Watt to the bench, and I can't realistically see him sending Alex Highsmith to the bench. But, I mean, there's something about this kid that's just ridiculous when it comes to his percentage splash. This past season, 2023, he wound up with 22 tackles, which is way more a reflection of how often he was out there than anything else. Of those 22 tackles, 15 of them were solos. He had 3 sacks for a loss of 24 yards. He had 5 tackles additionally for a loss, 2 forced fumbles, and a fumble recovery. Add on to that, because this counts, it's football, 5 special teams tackles, 4 of them solos. The kid just makes stuff happen out there. And I'd like to think that one of Mike Tomlin's strengths as a head coach is that he's been able to recognize the difference between someone who is, scouting specimen or whatever versus someone who gets it done on Sundays. Someone who's a first-round pick versus someone who just goes out there and gets it done on Sundays, whether they're a 4th rounder the way Herbig was or they're undrafted the way Mike Hilton was. It's just about going out there and getting it done. Who can forget that game late this past season when Herbig was only out there for 2 snaps and one of them was a strip sack, for crying out loud? So you're not going to have 3 edge rushers unless the Steelers really, really reinvent their scheme. And no, it's only because it's been asked that I can answer this definitively. He's not going to be taking one of the inside linebacker spots. I still don't know exactly why that is, but I know that every time it's come up, it gets quite the laugh back. As in, no, you dummy, there's no chance we would do that. All right, I get it. But then what are you going to do? You have someone who has shown to be capable of game-changing, seismic plays on a frighteningly regular basis, and I don't care how small the sample size is. I really don't. I mean, you've only got 17 of these games a year. If he goes out there and generates this much splash over 17 games, I'm inclined to find out more. But how? We can talk about rotation. I've brought it up many times on this program, mostly because TJ's brought it up with me. He values a rotation. He doesn't believe he's at his best if he's out there for all 70 snaps or whatever. Highsmith, on the other hand, is seen as more of the steady guy, the guy that's not going to make mistakes, the guy that's going to make sure that he's sealing the edge with the run. But then, we can say, Herbig needs to get better at that so that he can be out there for more snaps, or maybe more snaps than Highsmith. But then he's got 15 solo tackles out of his 22 total, and he wasn't on the field that much. I don't see that Herbig is some sort of liability when it comes to stopping the run. He might not be as good at it as Highsmith, but I don't see him as a liability. And here again, ask yourself which you value more, sealing that edge or splash off that edge. I don't have a conclusion here. If you're waiting for me to come up with some, big blazing take or whatever, that's not exactly my style. I don't have something that I'm going to recommend here. I'm not going to say, take Highsmith and his $14 million average cap hit and have him watch the games from the sideline and let the kid go nuts. I'm not going to say that, but I do think it's something that needs to be considered. that Herbig needs to be on the field more, and that maybe there's a methodology to the rotation. Marcus Golden isn't around, and Herbig, because of that, Golden was pretty good too, by the way, has slotted up to number 3 in the edge rusher rotation. That should mean more snaps. Injuries, of course, will result in snaps for Herbig. Hate to say that in advance, but they will. But is that going to be enough? I don't know. I'm not one of those people that looks at Highsmith's performance and says, where's all the sacks, whatever, because I get what it is that he brings. I respect what it is that he brings. It's just that I'll take more of what the other kid brings. When we come back, J1Q. Luxembourg, Garbett, Kelly & George. LGKG is a personal injury law firm in Western Pennsylvania that represents people hurt in car accidents or who need help with workers' comp or medical malpractice. When the attorneys at LGKG make you a promise, they keep it. They've been keeping promises in our region for over 80 years. LGKG's been AV rated, the highest rating a law firm can receive, and they've been designated super lawyers. That's actually a thing for over 15 years. It's a rare combination. LGKG has offices in Cranberry, Newcastle, Beaver Falls, Butler, and Elwood City. Learn more about them by visiting lgkg.com or by calling 888-842-5454. LGKG. Today's J1Q comes from Kevin, who says, DK, do you believe that Arthur Smith has something to prove to the NFL and would love to burn it down like Sherman through Atlanta? Kevin, I just spent the weekend in Atlanta covering baseball, and coincidentally, I was asking some of the Atlanta writers who cover more than one of that city's teams, similar to what I do here in Pittsburgh, about their thoughts on Smith, and their thoughts really came down to what's most commonly observed about Smith's tenure with the Falcons, which is that he was never going to get it done without a quarterback. He tried, I guess admirably, to work around that. He came up with different looks. To be sure, the Atlanta offense stood out with its approach. Big bodies and multiple tight ends, running backs all over the place, Cordero Patterson all over the place. And there were times and there were certain teams who couldn't handle it. But, and I don't know if you brought up Sherman in Atlanta just for the metaphor, or you were bringing up the fact that the Steelers opener is in Atlanta. That, of course, will represent the first real chance to show what this offense is going to look like. But from being around Smith and from having a couple of casual off-the-record conversations with him, I don't get that sense at all. I don't see him as the vengeful type. I see him as, how do I put this? Peculiarly motivated. If you don't know his backstory, it's fascinating. He comes from this enormously wealthy family. His father, Frederick Smith, was the founder of FedEx, if you can believe that, worth more than $5 billion with a B dollars. And Arthur Smith just wanted to be a football coach, worked his way up through every level of that, from quality control coach to video study coach to whatever, all the way up. He did it the hard way. He did it the honest way. And he became, lest anybody make this out to be some kind of black mark on him, he became an NFL head coach and held the position for 3 years. And where I come from, that's succeeding in your field. So I don't know. If there's some sort of revenge-motivated, vindictive-filled side to his personality, I haven't experienced it yet. I'm not aware of it in any other form either. But having said that, I'm going to guess that beating the Falcons and doing it by putting up, let's say, 30 points or so, and having Pat Freiermuth catch 2 or 3 passes in the end zone and all that other stuff, that'd be pretty cool. I'll bet he'd think that'd be pretty cool. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Steelers. We're going to do another one of these tomorrow.